So I'll call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded by the planning board. If any other persons present are recording the meeting, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Okay. Public comment may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. If you want to be considered for making a comment, please alert the chair by raising your hand. And I think we can do that whenever, depending on when people want to talk and what they want to talk about. Anybody has anything specific? Is everybody kind of an agenda item at the moment in the room? Okay.
Yes.
So when we get to the agenda items, you guys can come up and we'll chat. And if people jump in from the public, we can give them a chance to speak as well. Okay, roll call of members.
I'm George Tolimpsis, and I'm the vice chair of this board.
Tom Bledsoe, alternate.
Sarah Brown Anson, member.
Vic Michelle, a member.
Jeff Sauer, chair. And I will raise Tom to a voting member to fill out the bench. Thank you for coming, Tom. All right, next order of business, approval of meeting minutes of September 9th and October 2nd. Let's do those separately.
I'll move to approve the September 9th minutes.
I'll second that.
All right. Anyone have any comments?
They were long and complicated.
I did not have any comment.
See you.
They were good.
You as well.
All right, so all in favor of approving the September 9th minutes?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Sorry. That's the October 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Any discussion, comments, revisions? All in favor of approving the October 2nd minutes?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay.
You don't have to abstain, but I wasn't there either.
Okay.
I read the minutes.
Seem reasonable. All right, so I think we should rearrange the agenda a little bit because we have people who are here with us today. We'll let you guys go early and then we'll get to the other business after you guys are done. You're welcome to stick around. You guys want to go first?
All we just want to do is, say we're here to, and we
This is-
submitted the
Planting
plan,
plan, yeah.
the pre-plan.
Yeah, well, why don't you, so we're gonna, this is item 5C, planning board vote on tree planting plan for 215 Wall Street. Why don't you
Follow up from the last meeting.
follow up in the last meeting where we had a condition that you would come to us and bring us a tree planting plan that we could review, and if it met, if it kind of was consistent with what we talked about,
Yeah.
give you the green light. So why don't you come up and
Sure.
show us what you got?
I submitted it with Eric right after we met with the tree committee.
Yep.
And you requested to have at least 3 on Allen and 3 on Wells and 2 on Allen. So we, by the way, they were very helpful, very, very helpful.
Great, yeah.
We scoped out where we could have the trees. We located 2 in this corner
Mhm.
and 3 along Wells. There's a question here of asphalt. We said, look, they said they'll provide the trees, they'll do the planting. We said, okay, we'll dig the holes.
Okay.
And if it means we got to punch through the asphalt, we'll punch through the asphalt. So, and that was it. It was relatively, they were very helpful. There'd be shade trees.
Did you settle on a species?
Pardon?
Did you settle on a species of tree?
They said depends what they're
They'll
gonna.
bring, they can go to a site, kind of get a feel for what's gonna work.
We just gave them, you bring us the trees, we'll dig the hole
Okay,
and water.
yeah.
And we had, right in here, we had to fit in that corner because of the radius of the highway. We included, I don't know if he scanned all this in for you, but we included the, yes,
We got that
the
diagram.
diagrams. The town, city had laid out where that is and we went off of that.
Okay, yeah,
So, but they are.
great.
It was a very good meeting. They were very helpful, very accommodating, understanding what we're trying to do, and also they're very tree oriented, so they were.
That's
Not impressive.
Yeah,
Talking about their favorite town, represent the tree committee. Or you-
No, this is 215 Wall Street, so this is
Right.
action item 5C.
Right, this gentleman represents.
the
Yeah, well, you-
DKS Realty, Sarah Jew was here. DKS, BSK, I'm sorry. And Sergey is here. He's the owner.
Right.
And, but it's just, he has good command in the English language. It's just a lot quicker if I do it for
Fair
you.
enough.
I just wanted to clarify, because you were saying, so you're two shade trees here you're adding
Yes,
and two in the corner, one of which is on.
and there's one.
It shows here there's an existing.
Yes, that's a big puppy. There's two here.
Yep,
And, you know, whether we count that as one on Allen and three on this one, one here, one there. There's a big one there.
Yep.
This is the driveway.
yep. So
And
I just want to be clear, I had the numbers right from your verbal presentation. You're adding 4 trees, 2 in the corner and 2 here. And that one's already pre-existing.
correct.
Okay, thanks.
And I think it was minimum of 4. They wanted to get, you know, we tried to get another one in, but over here, there's a power line that goes in there. And here there's a driveway. That's a huge maple tree in there, which they don't like because it goes way up power lines and stuff.
Oh, that's
And cutting it down is not a real option, you know, to add a smaller one, so let it go.
Okay, well, any other questions or comments?
I appreciate the work you did.
Well,
And, you, from what you had originally to what we're gonna have now, it's a significant improvement.
mhm.
And it's a really nice collaboration, which I.
Exactly. Like I say, I was really, they were on time. We had a chance to, you know, these are volunteers. This is really important stuff. And, you know, Sergey took time off from work. I drove down from Keene. So, you know, and it was a very nice meeting.
Good. Well, thank you for working with us on this and with them.
Our pleasure.
Seems like a good compromise, a good solution. Doesn't seem like it's too burdensome, or it was within reason from your perspective, and it'll make the neighborhood better.
Right.
In addition to having the property improved as you've already done. So,
Thank you.
so, George,
I'll make a motion to approve this tree planting plan as presented.
I'll second that.
any discussion?
It's wonderful collaboration all
Yeah,
around.
exactly. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for moving this up. Early on the agenda this evening.
I've been at the bottom of the agenda. We might decide that we'll either on forever about item 4 or whatever. So they hear. That's okay. You guys want to
Sure.
come up and talk to us? So you are, which one?
6 May.
Got it.
So I just had a quick question about the last item.
Yep.
I'm assuming we don't have to sign anything as a board.
We already signed it.
Yes, I know.
And so it was conditional.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we've signed it sufficiently. We
Okay,
have to go unsign it if we weren't satisfied with what we saw.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night.
Okay, so an A&R for 106 Main Street. Eric sent this around. And I asked him for a little context just because it's Main Street. We don't know what's going on. He said, well, he would ask you guys to come.
And we're here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm Robin Provost, my
I'm Bob
brother, Bob
Provost.
Provost,
Yeah.
we're Maureen Schmidt.
Right.
And so we've been assisting with the overseeance of that property for, I don't know, 30-something years with the present owner, Billy Walker, which is Dyer Investments. And as you know, it needs a lot of work on the Wells Street portion. So we've decided, based on the fact that he is finally looking to relinquish ownership of a portion of the building, that we would step up and purchase a portion of it, actually all of the property except for the building that the Community Correction Center is currently in. And that's where the old juvenile court was. That's the 106 Main facade. And that's what he's keeping ownership now. He has the current, he has a community correction on the first floor. He has the remainder of a 5-year lease with those folks there. And then I assume at some point in time, he'll also be looking to relinquish that as well and put that up for sale. So right now, we're looking to purchase, we'll be purchasing all of the Wells Street facade. And as that wraps around onto Main Street, there's a shared corridor. That used to be actually a drive that went through there that got closed in years and years ago by Maureen Schmidt. And as part of this, he will have an easement into the back parking lot off of Wells Street to maintain parking. Because there is a requirement for parking with the lease that he holds with the Community Correction Center. So they'll have parking back there. And to satisfy building code regulations, he'll have a ingress, egress access through the corridor so that people on that first floor that are in the Community Correction Center, though, they can get out from that corridor as well.
This part of it here, what's that? What are you talking about?
No, so this is where the old furniture antique shop
Yeah, you're
is.
talking this part.
It's this corridor right here. This is the building he'll be maintaining,
Gotcha.
right here.
And what you were taking on?
So we're gonna take on this whole section.
Yep.
The parking that comes in, this is the parking right here. A portion of that parking will maintain. He'll have access to this parking. This is the property line where then the community health, CHD, or which I forget which is where. Yeah, okay. I was.
There's two entities there, the
Yeah.
CHC and
Yeah.
CD.
Yeah. So he'll maintain access to parking off of Wells Street on this line that separates the two properties. He'll have, and then he gets out of their folks get out of the building back here. And then, and I can come over and show this on this side too, if you'd like afterwards.
Now?
So the parking is being
Oh, yeah.
used and that's it, but the building is ready to
Yeah, but there is.
Fall down.
fall down.
Oh, yeah, not, but so people are just going through here and then parking back here.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
So you don't really see it.
yeah, that's what they do now.
Yeah.
There is no physical barrier between the two parking lots, but the hope is that people don't drive between the two of them. That's been the setup for many, many, many years. And that's actually what happens because this line of parking is there and folks do park on that property line.
And what you're taking on would include the corner?
No, so that's a
Not.
separate owner.
Yeah.
Okay, that
That's a
is
separate
Okay,
owner.
I wouldn't.
Yep,
Antique shop.
yep,
That's Whitney.
yeah, right, right. You know,
And
so
this
that's.
used to be Car Hardware.
That was Car
Correct.
Hardware. So our intention is simply to clean it up. We're gonna take a portion of that, as much of that building as we have to down. We're gonna clear the lot. We're gonna keep a portion that's still in structurally good shape, most likely, which is closer to Whitney and the part that goes up to Main
Correct.
Street.
Yeah.
And so for now, it's gonna sit as a much cleaner lot, making
Shot.
everyone in Greenfield happier. Until we decide what to do. And that's our plan.
So it's gonna be a lot.
It's gonna sit there until we make a decision as to what to do with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Long term, no, that's
The
not our
only, the only
intention, but we
part,
don't know yet.
yeah, the only part of that building that we foresee coming down is the part that's coming down on its own.
Yeah.
Like.
Which was the car hardware.
It's that, he's got a great shot of it right here on his computer.
Oh, yes, you can share with that.
Yeah.
So the upper section in the back,
Is what's in jeopardy.
actually all the white, how
Yeah.
about that? Just say it really nice. That's all gonna come down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keep going, that's gonna come down.
I see.
To the brick.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All the white section.
This will.
Actually, a section of that a little bit of that comes down too, and then there's a step up inside. You actually see where there's an elevation change.
Yeah.
And there is a step up to a higher elevation in that
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah,
building.
yeah.
And that was at one point in time on an exterior wall that was opened up in portions and it will get closed back in.
So what will
Yeah.
be, what will?
There'll be nothing there.
So from the brick building all the way
Yeah.
down is all coming down.
Right now, it's about pretty
Yeah.
much ready to
Yeah.
implode.
Yeah.
So that'll all be gone. Yeah, and that's the access where people access that back parking lot. You probably with that, you can't get it, but that on the back side is where the parking lot, yeah, right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, parking lot here.
It's
CHD, I can never remember. which
Community
one's-
Health Development.
Yes,
It's hard to imagine what
Center for
that,
Human Development and Community Health Center. I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm there all the time. so.
it's hard to imagine what that building kind of looked like when it was an active harbor. Was it ever attractive and a nice structure, or is it just not really much of a?
There were add-ons over the years that took it further to the north. That's the north end of the
Yeah.
building right there. So that's all kind of stuff that's been added on. Once you get up further, then you get to the brick structure.
Yeah,
That's for the integrity of the building. It's really in good
That's the-
shape.
and that's what you'll keep.
That's what we're gonna save.
Yeah.
But this has all been added on.
It's all-
That's
it's kind
actually-
of junk.
That's actually a
Very
loading
well done.
dock right there that you drive in, that's the pull in into the building right there, actually.
Right here.
It was a very functional hardware store. I bought a lot
That's
of paint
great.
there. I
Yeah,
bought a step ladder there, carried
right,
a half-mile home.
right, right. Yeah,
So before it was Car Hardware, it was Naps,
Oh, okay.
Gilbert Knapp. Knapp's Hardware Store. I
Right.
mean, they were they, you know, two generation, maybe a third was there,
Yeah.
but then Car Hardware came in when they sold out. But that and the white part that's coming down, you couldn't rehab it.
You can't read.
It's beyond.
Right. And you understand that our function is simply to approve.
Yeah, yeah.
division of-
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We've been, we've been talking with Mark Snow about pretty much everybody's been hoping that this would happen at some point in time, and we finally took,
It needs help.
taking the step. It needs help. It needs somebody who's local to step up. And I think there's so much obviously going on in that area with construction of different levels that it's almost a great property to be able to look at and say, okay, well, what's going to be needed to support what's
Right.
actually already there?
Hmm.
And we might
Yeah.
not know that for a little while, but
Yeah.
we should, it'll start to play out.
Yeah.
Like I
That's the-
said,
That's the stuff that's in our mind.
yeah,
About-
And what do you do with the brick
Yeah.
building?
which up there, say it just,
Well, that's
This piece that you're
It's
keeping.
this piece here and forward.
sit
yeah.
with- I don't know. And it actually, so it's not just the brick building, but then it turns and it goes up to a Main Street facade. So if you go on, can you go on to Main Street with that?
Take the turn right.
Yeah.
Turn hard.
Okay, so you see where the
Oh,
end
yeah.
of so
That's
that
storefront.
piece.
Right there.
Goes
it.
with it. That arch is the corridor that goes down
Right,
that he'll
right,
maintain
Shared.
egress out
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
That'll all get cleaned up. Right now, that needs to be cleaned. And then community correction is the one
Yeah.
that he's gonna maintain is right there next door.
Yeah.
And that's multi-story.
Yeah.
Right? So that's on the multi-story structure.
But
And all
vacant.
that is, it's only being used on the first floor by the community correction center, which from what I hear, it's really been a good opportunity for folks there. That lease has been
Good.
going well. So.
I mean, hopefully someday that whole area is filled with people,
yeah.
There's stuff happening
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
whatever it may be.
Is there anything that can be done to the facade of the brick building that you're gonna maintain?
Up on which end?
On Main Street.
No, around the corner.
On the corner.
Yeah.
It's gonna depend a little bit on
Go the wrong street.
what happened. Yes, so that
That
piece
thing,
right there
yeah.
is gonna have to get cleaned up. Yeah, that'll have to,
Yeah.
because it will be maintained, so
It'd be nice. if
whether
they-
it becomes. I don't know what the next step with it is, I don't know, but yes, at the very least, that wooden area there needs to be
Redone.
upgraded to
Mhm.
make it safe, and that alleyway that you see there, the same thing.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of,
So when you say cleaned up,
Just-
does that also mean occupied or just
No.
made safe and stabilized and?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now.
for now,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think you've got a step-by-step project there that's
yeah.
just hoping somebody might do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely, it's, to take it down is a big step to begin with. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
good
it's a-
sized structure
it's a
that has to
positive
come
step.
down. And there's a lot of cleanup there, so.
Yeah, well, that's an impediment in itself to get something happening. So to
Right.
speed that up, make it ready
Right.
to go for whatever
Right.
may come next is great.
And it's almost one of those things you need to take it down and then you visualize it and see. I'm interested to see how the next door property is growing, with the homeless shelter and then the housing, how that's all gonna take shape and what's gonna happen there, how that's gonna play out. So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this thing we're doing right tonight, the approval not required, A&R, is like the most minimal thing we do.
Yeah.
We don't even
Yeah.
approve it. We just endorse that it meets
Yeah.
the minimal
You can say
requirements.
it's minimal,
Yeah.
but it's still.
But it's- yeah,
It's-
right.
Yeah, yeah. it's-
Something can happen, nothing's gonna happen.
Exactly.
But something could happen.
But I want, good, sorry. Yeah, no, I want to say that from the larger point of view of our interest of the planning board in development of the community and downtown, this is a
Yeah.
big, step.
It's a step,
So,
right. Well, and it's actually the first step for people in the town to know that something's gonna happen too, because we haven't really been talking about it. So this is here it is.
That's why we're excited. We thought.
Here it is.
Main Street.
The property,
Here it is.
that whole area has got, I mean, it could be good for a lot of different things over the years. I mean, it's been looked at multiple times by different resources, and different entities, for something to happen and just kind of nothing's taken place. I mean,
But I appreciate that it's a local company that's Gonna stabilize it too.
We're gonna try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't live in Greenfield, but we're in Franklin County, no? So
Your business
he's in
in-
Leiden, I'm in
The
East.
businesses.
The business is here, it's been here for almost 80 years, and it's not going anywhere, so
Yeah, it's great.
there you go, here we are.
All right. Very positive.
Yeah, so we'd love to keep talking to you as you,
Yes,
ideas?
yeah,
That's
it's,
good to hear.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we would
It's
look
good.
forward to working
It's
with you
good.
on this. No, or a new owner if you end up deciding to sell.
yeah, yeah. No, this is definitely, will make it so that that next step can happen.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a phone call from Mark Snow today, actually, he says, good luck tonight, everybody's waiting, like everybody's waiting.
good luck. I feel like we,
I was gonna say, how difficult can it be?
maybe we have more power than we thought.
What are our options?
Yeah.
We don't have any, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No. But it's good to have
I think it's a
everybody
good thing.
on the same page
I
and
was-
work as a team, because if you don't start in the beginning
Yeah.
in that team mode, you end up
Yeah.
in
I was
trouble down the
thrilled
way.
to see that on the agenda.
Yeah,
It's like, wow, that's a parcel that we all know something has to happen with.
Yeah.
This is the first
Yeah.
step, so
Yeah.
it's great.
and it's gonna happen quick, we're gonna take it down really quick. Clean it up.
Good. Okay, well,
So I'll make a
Well, it's gonna be
motion.
just promise to keep in touch.
You know where we are.
I'll make a motion to endorse the A&R.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
great chatting, appreciate it. You'll be seeing us again. I'm
Hope so.
sure.
It's nice to get some faces though.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Great.
Keep up the good work.
You too.
All right, we'll leave this one here.
Thanks again for using your discretion.
Yeah, I do say thank you to that. I'm on the select board in Heath, and I looked at the meeting, I'm like, oh, we're gonna be there all night. After I did that last meeting.
Pre-discussion.
Oh, I saw it, I was like, I wonder how long our discussion is gonna be on this one.
Maybe till midnight.
It can happen,
It
right?
happens.
We control these discussion items. We can decide when we want to be done.
All right, well, thank you, it was nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
You as well.
Have a good night.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, George?
And I'll make another motion to have the chair sign on behalf of.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay.
So have they had a role in this property in the past or?
It's like they're just buying it.
Yeah.
They're dividing it. Oh, they said they had been helping to manage it.
That's what they sound like,
Yeah.
right?
They've done some stuff, yeah. Work on it. Probably been watching it for a while and,
You wouldn't know.
well, I mean, they're at the mercy of the owner.
Yeah.
Maybe like just triage stuff.
Yeah.
Do they do? Should have, they've got, what kind of development they've done? I didn't,
They do everything. I looked at their website.
they build it, do they develop it too? Yeah, they,
New construction, single family homes, commercial.
cool. Well, they seem excited about it. They didn't want to tell us too much, but,
No.
They're not obliged.
Oh, yeah. well, yeah,
Great to hear from.
it's good of them to come in. I mean, that wasn't required either.
Yeah.
Eric could have just told us what it was. She said, so, good. All right. Next, agenda back up. Shall we just do the other A and R while we're at it?
Mhm.
So, action item 5A, approval not required, plan endorsement for lots at 160 Laurel Street, Assessor's tax map R24 lot 28, submitted by Laurel Street Storage LLC, and we do not have a representative for that one, and Eric didn't tell me anything, did send us an email.
Well, it looks like this L-shaped section is being shifted from Williams.
I was having a hard time locating the streets and just doing everything on this.
Looks like
Site
it's
plan.
on Laurel Street.
Mhm.
There's,
And which
there's
is Laurel,
this-
would you say?
so right over here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding. But I agree, it's a little bit hard to tell.
Get your overall bearings, yeah.
I mean, you can't really get your bearings.
But it looks like this unusually shaped section is just allowing the storage facility to expand its footprint slightly by coming from this property.
By 20 feet. Oh,
20 feet for that section and,
on one side and 8 feet on the other.
yep. it's not clear what the
Good.
need or
Do you
purpose is.
drive in there? Is that what you do? You must. right?
You would, I mean, this, I guess, would allow for
That's what I'm
being on the other
guessing.
side of the building.
If this is the way in, then they wanted more access, more view, more access. But nobody has any issues or even heard it?
Well, as long as it meets the criteria, you know, it's not,
Yeah.
we don't need to know
We don't have
what,
discretion really.
right, what the purpose is. Yeah.
And it does.
Well, usually, I mean, of course, we should review them, but usually, Eric does a review of the ANRs to
Yeah.
make sure that they do comply with,
Yeah, no, we're just signing off.
yeah, the zoning.
Well, it's certainly not affecting frontage. This is an interior,
Yeah.
you know, kind of shift of land, one parcel to another.
Find it on the map, but this doesn't matter. Okay. Any other thoughts? Motion to endorse the AR application,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Everybody, any other motions related to this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we allow the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Have a second?
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Great,
Thank you for signing.
you're welcome. I just have to remember to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Eric will let me know when it's time. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the action items.
So we just do the tree planting? Oh, no, we did that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And we still have no one online.
No.
This is one participant.
That's weird that no one
No.
put up online. Seems unusual.
Yeah,
Now, we were also
I'm
sent
still worried.
some recommendations from the tree committee, but that's for the site plan review discussion. Is that what that was?
I think that was for us to look at, but it's not on our agenda.
It is not. Okay,
I
well,
think we should put that on the agenda.
Yeah.
Since it's such a substantive,
it was a really,
report.
it was.
Yeah.
We asked for it too.
Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah. I think maybe next time we could have
Okay,
put that as a discussion item if we have time.
I mean, it seems like it fits into the C here, 4C. You know, discussion of thresholds and criteria for site plan review.
okay,
I assume what they're proposing to do is add these as site plan review criteria, I mean, these tree recommendations.
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good point.
I would accept that logic.
Should we go in order on the discussion items?
Well, I think we should go in reverse order, because that's how.
Reverse order, okay, so C, yeah.
That's, I don't care. I think, I mean, in my opinion, 4B and 4C are kind of interrelated.
Right.
They could as well be the same thing,
Right.
two sides of the same coin.
I think we should clarify what we're talking about for members of the public.
Yeah, well, let's pick what we want to talk about first, I think.
there's some time sensitivity around item A.
Yeah, okay,
Because there's some action that would be following from that discussion. So I just wanted to.
okay, well,
Maybe we should start with that one.
let's get that one, because that's a discrete one, and then we'll explain what we're talking about with B and C after that.
Yeah.
Okay, so discussion item 4A, discussion of next steps for the adopted, updated natural, historic, and cultural resources and land use chapters of the.
Right. Well, the last meeting you approved, we adopted it. So
That's
this
correct.
is what now happens.
Yeah, and George, you've been,
Yeah, so the Sustainable Greenfield Master Plan Implementation Committee has indicated eagerness and willingness to help with public dissemination as this, both setting up public meetings, doing it electronically. There's a particular type of platform that they're talking about. It's all Greek to me, and I'm Greek, but I don't get it. So different ways to make it accessible to the public, obviously, the website, those things. And I'd assume when we're talking about these chapters, we're talking about the other document that was the supporting document, the long document that had been put together in the process with the
From the school.
from the school.
Do you
Yeah.
mean the
So
whole chapters? Is that what you mean? or the goals.
Not
Yeah.
just the not
Not
just
just
the
the-
matrix.
Not just the matrix, right?
Oh,
So
yeah,
so it's
The document,
essentially three documents.
narrative.
Right, the narrative plus the two.
Yeah, because that other one
Goals
is
and
more of a
actions.
summary table.
Well, it's a goal and action plan.
Right.
And the other is the narrative. So it's a little bit different structure than
Yes.
the original master plan.
But in some ways that it's easier to absorb the narrative for some people, I would think.
So the other thing, so that is
One, I just got a text from someone trying to get into the meeting
oh, no.
and it is not working.
We're here.
Wrong link.
Oh,
oh,
We
no.
had our helper. I think what we should have tried to do was join before she left.
oh, someone here join? You mean?
Yeah, like I could have.
Right. That's always a good test. That's true. Yeah, 'cause-
Can
Sorry,
they
sorry.
try
They could
using
use
the
use the code, yeah,
passcode?
use the
and
code, the other way in.
the
Yeah,
not the link.
passcode and the,
Meeting number and
It's
passcode.
amazing how it just continues to happen.
yeah,
we were saying a little nervous not to see anyone.
yeah.
It made you wonder,
Yeah,
people not able to get it.
So if,
Ah,
so I'll see if she can use she can type in the passcode and the number, then
Change.
the other shit.
Respect.
So it was able to get in.
Okay,
What she was able to get in using the information that was on the agenda.
okay.
is that the person who
That's the person.
tried,
Yes,
texted or whatever?
Yes.
it's here, right?
So if. I think that the information on the agenda allows you to get into the meeting.
Yeah, oh, that was has, yeah.
That was what I just told her to try that and she
Yeah.
did, and now she's on.
But it would be, you should be able to do a one
but
click.
it's the link.
They should just get rid of the link.
Or
That would be better.
Just get rid of the link and just leave the passcode information.
Or a note that says if the link doesn't work, please try passcode. I mean, people should try that because it's also there. But,
Yeah.
it's just.
It should be easier.
It's great in-
I don't disagree, but we know that the one method always works.
Not everyone's as savvy.
Okay, well, so. Thank you, citizen, for letting us know that it looks like it did work. But let's. So,
So your last thing, you talked about the SGIC Information Committee and expressing interest in aiding and making the master plan chapters accessible to the public.
Yep. And so it's up to, this board, if you wanted to delegate and trust the committee to do that work. The other thing that had happened, and this was obviously a more rigorous and wide ranging process with the original master plan. It was because you're doing the whole thing from scratch, is that it was submitted not for approval, but just to share it with the council and with the mayor. And so again, it's adopted now because this board has adopted it. It's a planning board document, but rather than just get it out to the public to somehow more formally, present it, I guess,
Yeah.
to the mayor and to the council. That's if we wanted to do something parallel with what happened before. So I just wanted to throw that out there, having been around during that time. So
It's interesting, because we could put it on the agenda of the council meeting and present it.
right. Yeah, so you're suggesting, so it's let the SGIC run with it is one thing. Would they present it to council or we present it to council? I missed which.
it's up to this, it's this board's document.
I would think if they were gonna do something, we should be part of that. I mean, well,
Can we present it since we did it and then let the SGIC run with disseminating it? So did
but
two.
they're gonna be doing public meetings on that, I assume, right? So, and we should be like those, I would think.
In coordination with this board, I'm
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I would agree with Victor that, presenting it to the mayor and council would be directly from this board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, it seems like if they should be disseminating this all they want, we can too. So that seems great. In terms of, so maybe the presentation to the council and mayor is just sharing where we are with that, and then sharing SGIC's plan and what things they're gonna do. And then maybe there's some justification for checking in annually with council or at some interval. Like, we haven't talked about how we're gonna keep track of progress. But it's the sort of thing that if it isn't top of mind, it isn't on anyone's mind. It's an opportunity to implement these things. You have to kind of keep it in front of them.
Yep. And I'll just say, that's why the SGIC was created.
Right.
Keep it in front of mind and have a dedicated body doing this. And I know Eric has talked about over the years since, you know, this happened, he's always been impressed with how active this process has been in Greenfield as compared to some other places where, you know, the cliche is it gets put on a shelf and collects dust. That this has been kept alive and kind of in front. And so we have a committee dedicated to that.
The IC is implementation committee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that was part of the original master plan, was create such a committee. That was a step.
Yeah.
It was indicated. So
It seems to me they would be the ones that would track it, and all we need to do is actually touch base with them once in a while, so how we do.
Yeah. Does that, maybe talk about how are they set up to keep track of progress? What was the model?
it's, you know, it's not a exacting process, but it's something we're always it's evolving, we're discussing. But trying to keep it, it got integrated a lot in the, for departments in their budgeting every year. There'd be references to the master plan and a lot of, by design, a lot of the departments are represented on the SGIC.
Mhm.
So the DPW, the energy, planning. So Eric has a designee, and he's attended there at times, but planning has a designee. So, so it's a varied process of tracking things and trying to keep, you know, public engagement. And so this, you know, these chapters would be an opportunity to continue that. And we're still in the process of trying to work on the economic development as the next chapter. And there was some potential funding for that, which didn't come through. So
Okay.
it's still being worked on. And Amy,
Cullen.
thank you, is working on funding resources for that.
Okay.
So we have our next meeting on the 20th. And so I think you were saying, Jeff, it would be nice to be able to present the board to present this to the mayor and the council as here are the documents, but also here's the plan we got from the SGIC for its dissemination. So I could, you know, have this on the agenda. Again, the committee is eager to hear about this and try to do some write-up that could be presented to this board at the December meeting.
Okay.
Sounds like a January presentation to the council.
Yeah, that'd be a new council too.
Yeah, and the new plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, then we'll go, at the end of the meeting, we should go through next agenda items to make sure we have them all. But it sounds like it's SGIC implementation plan, round 2, decade 2. We'll talk about that and then we can make a plan for when and how to go to council.
And the mayor.
Okay, so is that two separate, you see that as two separate meetings?
However, you know, however we decide, I can't remember exactly how it happened before, but it was a little more formalized, but it was a big process and it was, you know, more than year process. And so it was kind of naturally on everybody's agenda. So this is less, this is a little more subtle, you know, low key.
Are there are no counselors on the committee, are there?
On the SGIC, yes, it's by design. There's a council, it's Sarah.
Sarah Brown.
Sarah Brown.
Brown, thank you. What is your last names? Yes, Sarah Brown. I was thinking it was hyphenated, but no, Sarah Brown
Okay.
is the current counselor.
Is Amy Cullen on it as well?
She is the planning department designee. So she is on, yes, on the committee. So it's made up of just about half designated. It's 11 people and half designated people, and then there's 4 or 5 members at large. It was interesting. There is a youth representative who we one year had a high school student who fulfilled that, but apparently we have someone from the school department who's doing that. But we just got there's an environmental or ecological club at the high school, and we just got contacted about trying to see if a couple of their participants can be like non-voting members. So that's in process because there was an intention when that committee was put together to have some youth representation on that. So
Interesting.
Great.
Because it's about the future. So. Community.
Well, I was always very impressed at how much of the boxes were checked in the last one, how seriously Greenfield took implementing all the way through the decade to the next plan. And most places don't keep up that momentum. Okay,
Thank you for being our planning board representative.
Oh, it's been,
SGIC.
I've been honored to do it. Yeah, it's been nice to see it throughout. Because it started in 2012 when I got appointed to the Master Plan Advisory Committee. So it's been a nice, so Nancy and I have been on, we're the two that have been on from the start.
Great.
Wow.
Nancy hasn't.
good.
13 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of service.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that.
Okay. So that'll be on agenda in a slightly different form next time. All right, so discussion items 4B and 4C, discussion of approach to design guidelines for downtown and other development areas, discussion of thresholds and criteria for site plan review and major development review. So for the public, these are things we've kind of we've been working on these, talking about them monthly. We skipped it a couple times because we haven't had enough people present. We expect this to be a topic that takes a while to work through. But it's something that we believe the board should have a hand in. And it's one of our responsibilities. And the current design guidelines, the current site plan review, major development review has done its job in some contexts, but is not adequate for certain types of environments, downtown in particular. It's just too focused on traffic counts and not enough on quality of place and urban design and all the other things that it needs to care about. So that prompted us to start talking about this. So we have a couple items we can talk about. We tasked Eric with getting us some examples of design review documents, and so he sent 19 or I don't know how many of those people have gone through.
I thought the one from Dennisport was fabulous.
Yeah, I think
I thought it was right up exactly what we were looking for, because it was specific where it needed to be, like it told you exactly how it wanted a planting done. You know, with the covers and the bases and this and that and the other, but then when it came to the actual buildings, it didn't say it has to be red brick, it said it needs to complement. And I think I like that, this is what we want, but not telling people what to do when it really wasn't where we want, but then being very specific on things that are good to be specific
To
on.
me, the
I thought it was perfect.
range of just raised a lot of questions about what do we want to tackle here?
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Because is it just downtown? Is it site plan more broadly? Is it master? I mean, some of them, like Springfield's, was very intense. I mean, it was neighborhood by neighborhood, the kind of homes you were big to build and the design of them and et cetera, et cetera. Can't imagine we're thinking about that. It seems like we're probably thinking more about downtown. But I do think the site plan one is something in its own right because of the ability to influence what gets built. And you've done already great work inserting trees, and we should do that more formally. And that covers the whole city, so it's not just downtown. So I mean, those are, but it feels like it's mainly downtown and then site plan. Though I don't know if there, really is a desire to tackle the whole question of major development and, a different design criteria for that.
Original thought
It
on,
gets so big,
Right.
my original thought on the major development was that I thought we should see almost everything that happens, so we know what's happening. Because I was more concerned with something being built or developed or designed, and we don't know anything about it. Because it meets all the code requirements.
Yeah.
So since it meets all the code requirements, we don't look at it. There's no reason to look at it. So that was my original concern about the major development. We should know what's being built. But I think if we get a design guideline in place, that kind of takes care of, I would think, at least 75% of my problems or my issues, because they know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about something being slipped in that I don't see because it meets all the requirements, because I've told them what we're looking for. So they should take
Well,
that
in
into
some of these
account.
communities, it's part of the zoning code. I mean, they kind of build it into the zoning.
But we were talking about, for example, the tire place down there on High Street, where they put no trees whatsoever, right? There's no trees. We had but we had a design guideline. It says, okay, yeah, you're welcome to build a big tire place, but and our
Based on what
expectations
you
are
just
this,
did
this.
with the last one, you probably could have just insisted upon it, it would seem, though I'm a little vague on that. Can you insist on it?
Yeah.
Can we not? But right now, without more tree language in anything, can we just insert it, which you're doing, I understand.
Well,
Yes,
what do you think, George?
Well, certainly we have a certain amount of authority and power in setting conditions. In this instance, it worked
it was very
great
collaborative, yeah, it was great.
because the person said, sure.
Right.
And, you know, went to the tree committee and is happy to do it and worked out they're gonna, you know, reduce some of the cost to the developer by providing the trees and some of the labor. So that's great. But you don't always have such a smooth situation of putting forth a condition.
Right.
There's a bit of a negotiation there. And the more we have solid, you know, standards
Right.
that we're coming from, the easier we can point to, well, this says you have to do this.
Right.
And so, and then the conditions are less troublesome to put in place if there's pushback.
Yeah.
So that's the issue, because it has to be defensible if someone were to say, no, I didn't want to do that. I think you're exceeding your authority. I think this is unreasonable. I think this is
Yeah, well,
an
having-
unreasonable expense or, you know, difficulty you're placing upon.
The other thing that was helpful about this one is it was on, it had sidewalks on two sides. That wasn't that hard to base our condition on pedestrian comfort and safety, which is, you have to find that's explicitly stated as one of the things we can control.
Yeah.
So we were able, I felt that was pretty justified in this case, but there might be a case where it's not, there isn't some sidewalk that we can say, hey, that's where pedestrians walk, therefore you have to make that safe and comfortable. So if we can make it explicit, we don't have to find the connection. We just say trees are in there. It just says
It
it
goes
is.
back to design guidelines. Like I said, the contractor or developer gets that up front and they read it and they go, okay, these are the expectations of the town. I was, we're gonna put trees on this and that. Then they know up front. So it makes it a whole lot easier when they come in.
The recommendation of the tree committee on that was pretty, they were good. They were
Yeah,
that's great.
solid.
Yeah. I think these could become part of the design
I do
guidelines.
too. It's very exciting, so.
And I thought the distinction that you made, Tom, of and some of these examples had chapters that looked a little different from each other, probably produced by different people, but it would be okay to have citywide tree guidelines and downtown specific design guidelines, and they can both be applicable or just one is applicable.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, one of the questions we need to ask ourselves is that, like, one of the ones I really liked was the Framingham example.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
like the framing of that.
But part of that was because they put a lot of money into it. I mean, they hired consultants and
It's
it's
pretty.
very thorough and lots of nice drawings and like. I mean, if we're working with volunteers, it's going to be a Word document and
Well, I had that basic question.
Yeah.
Reading these plans, it's just like, wow, this can be a lot of work and you can do a really thorough job, and that involves consultants. And are we,
I agree with that again.
it doesn't have to.
I would just contact Framingham, I would contact Dennisport. I didn't see copyright on either one of those.
Well, it's a,
So I'd say, would you mind sharing your
I
document?
just thought we should have a conversation, we should have a conversation about how we're gonna go at this. You know, not just
Well, I
what
think
do we want to do, but what's realistic for us and how do we need to do it?
But again, if we have something that's already done, and we like what's already done, and all we need to do is wordsmith, we take out everything that says Framingham, we put in Greenfield. I'm serious.
No, I didn't say.
But there's none of them are copyright, so we can do that with their permission if we ask them. And I'd be glad to ask them
It's a
for,
public document.
well, I'd be glad to ask them for a Word copy of it, and I'd sit there all day long and do that. I have no problem doing that all.
Yeah.
I did that once
we need
before,
to-
my other
We need to go through it, we need to. you know,
Absolutely.
Discuss it.
But it'd be good to have something to look at, instead of trying to create something in our
And
head.
honestly, we should probably.
We have one to look at, and say, we don't like this, we do like this, let's word it this way, we don't, and do that. I think we could do it very quickly.
We would need to think about I think a community engagement process. This is not a small little thing that we just do and roll it out.
I disagree. I think we do it and then we show it to the community and get their feedback.
It's part of engagement.
Well, but that's not what when you say engage me, I'm thinking we have a bunch of people sitting here, we're trying to write it and put it together, feeding into us right then and there while we're trying to do it. I'd rather we kind of sit down with ourselves. 'Cause I think we have varied opinions in here. We can have a pretty good document and then throw it out there and say, hey, look, folks, we think this would be something good for the town. What are you, what's your, we have 2 or 3 public meetings, picking sections. I think it's easy to do. Personally, I think it's easy to do. When we have something to work with.
Yeah.
Doing it on our own, I think we'll be here for years.
So that a lot of the concepts in those documents were best practices that are fully transferable to Greenfield. So to your point, Victor, you probably can pull just the things we like and you have, that's a really good start. It doesn't need to be made cohesive. There will be
Absolutely.
probably more refinements than we think, but then that's a good exercise to just get a feel for what structure do you think makes sense? What types of rules do we think make sense? How are they? Yeah, the notes I have are, we need to think about the structure of it, the components of it. There's also the mechanism by which we utilize it. So in some of these cases, it says this has no legal authority. This is just for help people make good designs.
Right.
In some cases, it's explicitly one of it's what we use to evaluate site plan. And so we have to choose that. I think the more authority we get, the more we probably need to go and get permission for that authority.
Don't disagree.
Yeah.
But again, I think it'd be a great tool for the town.
No doubt. Yeah, definitely,
And I think we should take advantage of information.
for sure.
And
My reaction reading to them all was, we need something here. We don't have anything.
That's correct.
You know, and there were a real range, some of them much more in depth, more comprehensive, and obviously done, you know, with more technical expertise and with more consultant communication presentation, but we don't have anything really. So it points that we need to do this. And we need to figure out what makes sense and take it on. I mean, you saw in some of them, they had stuff that would address our concerns about the opaque windows and stuff.
absolutely.
I saw there was good stuff there.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the issues that we've heard about, you can see them in some of the documents. So this feels like something the town needs.
To be proactive about these
Yeah,
things rather
yeah,
than.
get it out there so that
One
it's
more
only,
site that might get developed sometime soon. So
it's only fair, rather than have someone come in and say, well, what about the trees? And then, oh, we didn't know about that. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna put the expectation on it, because we are, it should be done in a way that people understand that they know it. And, you know,
Because you don't want it to be a barrier to
no,
development. You want it to be a partnership
Exactly.
with developers. So more people know upfront.
it was
Yeah.
very encouraging how they responded.
Well, yeah, and that's not necessarily going to happen.
Not the
every-
model.
And it hasn't happened every time.
No.
The people, there's been pushback about things that seem to the individual separate from, independent of their purpose. What their business is that they're trying to develop. And so having clearer communication by having something set ahead of time, people, as they go through the process, they're aware of it, just is going to have better outcomes.
So is your sense, Jeff, that the focus would be more on downtown design and then some modifications to the basic site plan review process, particularly focused around climate and trees? You know,
I don't know. One approach is to do it incrementally. So the
Not
trees,
all
it
of
just, I mean, on a personal level, they've been driving me crazy that we can, it's been great to be able to have some influence over that. It's for the good of the community, make these sites better. That's not a big imposition. So that's kind of a test case to see, yes, we can add some of these tools and it actually, everybody benefits from it. And if we break it up into pieces like that, like trees feels like one we could take into the code and it could just be something we're allowed to regulate or get DPW, whoever else needs to.
No.
The more we add on to that, the longer it's going to take to integrate it.
absolutely.
So it might be that we're working on several things, and as they mature to the level that we can integrate it into our process, we put it in the right spot.
For that. I mean, we have a recommendation from the committee on trees. We take that up, look at it and act on that one. And then decide how we want to handle the rest.
Yeah.
But we can, it's so discrete in its own thing, we could tackle it.
Do that. Are you-
The other thing that's come up and that I've seen, is also facade and windows and stuff. That's come up a lot. Where you have
Okay.
blank walls and we don't want a blank wall and you push back and unfortunately nothing's happened yet with that one, right? Next to Posada. But I remember Jeffrey, you said, let's have some windows up
Yeah.
top. But you can't just pick one piece like that. There's so many design elements that once you start, where do you stop? So
That's why we need the design guidelines.
Yeah.
When they first came to it, they would say, look, our expectation.
So anyway, so I agree with you that the tree thing probably makes sense to do, but there was some other low hanging fruit. But it's hard to know how to pick those, Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I just question, let's talk through the process of having design guidelines, because I'm not completely clear on that. Is that gonna be a change to the zoning ordinance and we'll have to have a public hearing and?
Yeah, I think
So doing it incrementally would mean a public hearing for each change, presumably.
That's the cost, yeah, potentially,
Okay.
depending on what we think. I mean, the more binding we want it to be, the more hearings and things we need to go through to get it
Right.
implemented. But
If
it,
it's just a suggestion, then we,
and that's, I mean,
Yeah.
one approach is a low hanging fruit is to have just an initial guidance document that just at least addresses these things in some way that is non-binding, that's just a place to start.
so,
Like Victor's talking about, we could just, here are some general things we're interested in seeing better results on. It's just to get the ball rolling.
so the director of planning could, when someone came
Yeah.
in, say, oh, I need such and such help. Say, okay, here's the design guidelines that are recommended by.
Just to start, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be the same as our master plan. It's the same sort of thing as the master plan, right? It's presented, it's adopted, it's accepted, and it just becomes a document part of the city, correct?
So you're saying the kind of voluntary recommended guidelines would be not part of the zoning ordinance? Is that what you're suggesting?
I guess I'm trying to, there's,
Throwing out as an option.
so
That's,
there's,
that's what I'm wondering.
yeah, there's a spectrum
Yep.
of intensities. So the
Yep.
easiest thing to do that I don't think we'd have to ask anybody's permission for is just, here's what we think are good ideas. We hope that you follow them. To the extent that as we start to integrate it into the zoning, either by, giving ourselves power to regulate on the basis of that and like grant site plan approvals or not, then it is more the city's design guidelines and not just the board's
Right.
guidelines. And
Right.
and so it needs more input, it needs more authority
Structure.
given to it. So those are all options. It's a bigger lift. And then, I mean, to what degree is it referenced in the zoning? Is it just pointed to as something we're allowed to,
Refer to pages X, Y, and Z, and that's not the guideline.
you can, and there can be different degrees of objectivity too. You can like codify how many feet everything has to be. And you have to go out there and measure to make sure, or it can just be, we want to have a certain amount of transparency and we're the judges of whether or not it met that criteria. So it's more of a performance based. We have, these are our goals. Here's how we're going to think about it, but it's kind of case by case. We have to make some judgments versus this is exactly how big the windows need to be.
So in the light version, it would be, we come up with as a board suggested guidelines, and then we give that to the director of planning to, share when someone's coming in for development for them to consider, and they could say, great, thanks so much. This is helpful. We'll utilize these, or they could ignore them. Totally. But that would not involve the ordinance changing at all. It
No.
would just be, gotcha.
We still are stuck with the review criteria we've got in the meantime.
Yeah. So I'll just say generally, I appreciate the idea of the incrementalism, because I think that, one, it moves things along
Right.
faster. And it's not a years long process of coming up with a big scheme. And then, and I also think that's a good way to test things. Just as we're experiencing, okay, we're pushing more, emphasizing more about the trees. This could have gone, I think if you hadn't initiated with this plan, we just, approved that tree planting plan, that could have gone, that condition, which doesn't explicitly say you have to have trees, where they're going to be pedestrians provide shade, but you can interpret it that way,
Right.
which you initiated, we did. And that worked out. So I think, we can see different things and say, okay, this should be more explicit. And so it's more predictable and for the developer, and it's also more consistent for, these incremental improvements throughout the town of getting shaded sidewalks and that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of benefit to doing it that way, and maybe considering putting together guidelines that are suggestions, and then depending on the response and stuff like that, considering making them more formalized and, putting them through the process to become part of the zoning ordinance. And I don't think, as far as these, especially if we're talking about them being incremental, I don't see a need for a special public engagement process. I mean, we're doing everything we're doing in the sunlight, where, even though there's only one member of the public here, and hopefully others who want to get in could, but, people can see these recordings, and we have a representative of the, Fourth Estate here to, disseminate what, so if something seems to be a big issue or significant issue, that can get disseminated to the public as well. And I think that's great so that people can be aware of that. But these are more, as compared to the master plan, for example, I think these are more kind of an internal process of trying to incrementally improve the work we do and the interplay with developers. But I don't see it as something that is necessary to have a big public, hey, look at what we're doing, have a special meeting or something like that. It doesn't strike me as that's necessary. It seems more of an incremental internal process that's happening in the board doing the work for the community. So it's kind of like making the sausage and,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know that the public would have it. You don't want to have too many public engagement things where it's not really, that crucial to people. People can always come and attend or watch and, so that's my thought about that. I also wanted to, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I also want to say, I wasn't sure if we were blending B and C, and to me, the having been through, the major development reviews, I mean, to me, it's like we have these incremental, using that word a lot, but, stages of, or degrees of scrutiny. So you can have something that just has to be reviewed by the inspector of buildings. You can have something that's a site plan review. You can have something that's a special permit. And an MDR, major development review, is an additional level of scrutiny. And that fundamentally changed when that council vote was taken to both adjust the thresholds, which would trigger having a major development review, change them significantly. It changed them kind of acknowledged randomly. It wasn't based on any review of comparisons.
You're talking about the
of-
traffic generation thresholds.
Yeah, the size, the traffic generation, multiple thresholds were adjusted to decrease the chance of the major development review happening. And one section was totally eliminated, that if something was a major project was expanding by some certain percentage, it had to come back for a major development review. And that was just eliminated altogether, that section.
Well, wouldn't you have considered that job that we just saw on Wells Street as a major development? Wouldn't you consider that a major development? Tearing down all those buildings, the parking lot right in the middle of downtown. So to me, that's a major development. It may not be size, but it's something significant that's going to affect the downtown. And we wouldn't review that, right? We just see always towards the A&R, but now it's out of our hands.
Well, that's not a development at this point. That's
But I'm saying it's something that's going to be a development. So to me, that should be something that the planning board would review.
so whether
It
it's
doesn't meet that criteria.
whether it's a site plan or a special permit or a major development review, it's based on criteria in the zoning ordinance. And I'm saying, as far as whether something is labeled major development review, is based on those criteria.
Correct.
They were significantly altered, not by the planning board, and the fact the planning board-
Council.
By the council, yeah. Well, the council makes the decisions always.
Yeah.
But the planning board at that
There's no
time
process.
voted 4-1 against making those changes. As I said at the time, and I've repeated, it might be good politics, but it's not good planning. And so those were changed, and they weren't changed in a thoughtful, comparative process. Oh, look, we're being too restrictive. Look what this community does or that community does. We're on one end of the spectrum. It was just kind of random. That was acknowledged by the people who made the changes. It was a couple of people talking in not a back room necessarily, but it was not an open, full process of planning. And so it's always struck me, and the planning board in the immediate aftermath of that kept talking about, oh, should we come back to this and review this? And obviously it's got its political elements that, people felt like, well, this was a deal or a compromise that was made. But I've always felt that we as planners have some obligation to make sure those criteria have a rational basis.
So George, you proposing that we should kind of look at that separately? Because that feels to me a more in-depth process. if
Yeah,
you're
maybe
gonna
we
do
should,
that.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Maybe we should pull out major development review as a discussion item.
Well, we do have it.
We are,
Yeah.
but maybe we should try to revise the language is what you're suggesting and
Well, or-
initiate a change.
Or the thresholds. And Eric there was one, it was, the trigger was, I think, 1,000 car trips. It was changed to 3,000, and Eric was suggesting it could go back to 2,000 because that was a standard I can't remember what the exact thing is. So that's one example of, kind of tweaking those back to a more rational approach to seeing what would come under the board scrutiny for.
My sense of it is any car trip number is an arbitrary criteria. It isn't, I don't think that the number of car trips and the square footage are the two things that matter. They might matter, they might not matter, but I think to Victor's point, it's at least as important that it's on Main Street or not. Like something on Main Street that generates 10 trips has an outsized impact on Greenfield's image and the experience that you have, is many more people engage on Main Street than other places. So it's more, but I think we can be a lot more thoughtful about what those criteria even are, not just take for granted that those are the two we have to work with and pick which numbers we like. But I'm with you though, George, 100% that it can't be arbitrary. It has to be grounded in logic. And maybe it can be, I mean, we just finished this master plan piece. There are probably lots of ways we can tie elements of these different documents we're talking about to the goals of the master plan in direct or indirect ways. I mean, I know there's stuff about, I mean, that's often what's done. The master plan was a public process to set the goals and priorities for the city and in general. And then we take that as our charge to go within the powers we have as the planning board to work on that in detail, in our kind of, in our lane.
So is our goal of the planning board to, in your mind, to make sure that what is being built conforms and fits and whatever we're going to use with the look and feel and atmosphere we're trying to get into Greenfield? Is to control what's coming into Greenfield? Because I'm thinking if it's to make sure that things fit, we could probably take care of that with the thing we talked about previously, guidelines. So if our concern is that the property that's running on Main Street fits with Main Street, and we have the guidelines in place that we don't really worry about if we have to review it. Well, because the planning board, is there a need to review it if we know already that we've given them guidelines that meet that? But if we're looking to stop things, like let's say we don't want, some kind of shop that's going to open up downtown that we don't want, or we don't feel it's appropriate for downtown. Do we even have the power to stop that anyway? But so what's our goal? In other words,
That's different from major development review.
no, it's not. Let's say someone wants to build, I don't know.
But in our zoning, the concept of major development review is a little different than that.
I think that it is a valid question. How are we going to justify having design guidelines? Is it our aesthetic preference? We like arches and we don't like squares, or and we just think the Greenfield would be better off with more arches? Or is it, and I think that's a serious question.
It is,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like, so when I think about making someone plant some trees, it isn't because I think that we should have more trees. It's because it's our job is to serve the community and make sure that the developments that proceed are in the best interest of the community without compromising their feasibility within reason. But there's a lot of space to make better developments that don't make them infeasible. They can still get built. We're not going to require things that, I hope we don't end up requiring things that cost so much money to, that's a strategy though. But there are communities that do that.
I don't think we're
So
not.
that's why we need to ask ourselves, are we trying to stop things, control things, or are we just trying to translate what the communities told us they want to see for themselves into the rules we have control over?
I think it's the latter, personally, just trying.
I think it's so helpful every time we, applying any of the sections of the zoning ordinance. The first thing you have is purpose. To look at what the purpose is. And I think we should be able to define, when we're talking about Zygon, what is the purpose? I have no, but I'll read, if it's okay, the purpose of major development review. It says the purpose of this ordinance is to identify and attempt to mitigate potential negative impacts for the city of Greenfield, such as to city services, traffic patterns, the environment, abutting properties, or the public health and safety caused directly or indirectly by major development. And then the application section is, how do you operationally define major development? And it gives these different thresholds. So I think it's helpful to think of that purpose. And, I think there's a reasonable, obviously that is part of our ordinance, but then the question is, how do you define major development?
Yeah.
And that's what was altered in 2019.
But is that in there?
What's that?
The definition that was altered?
Yeah,
No,
Guidelines are-
the guide, the thresholds
right
Yes,
here.
were altered.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
one and B1 and B4.
Right, I understand. So,
So those are what were all, the purpose wasn't altered.
no, I understand.
What would come under that kind of scrutiny was altered.
What I'm hearing though, is two very different things. One is, we could do something that is kind of an easier or more of a guideline that doesn't require more formal process and it could be more incremental. We can move it on faster. Reviewing the major development review section and changing it is a very formal process,
Oh, yeah.
which is a whole different thing. So these two should be really looked at quite separately, I think. If we're gonna do design guidelines that are more to try to influence and encourage the way things are, we could have that on that's a very different track than deciding to tackle major development review. So, but I understand, George, why you'd want to do it. Because it was done so arbitrarily before, and it probably does need to get done. But those are two very different things.
Mhm.
That, touching that third rail, it would be a commitment, I think,
I agree.
because the room fills up when we talk.
That's what I mean. It'd be very different things.
So my
Yeah.
sense of it is we should always remember that. I mean, the long-term view is to get to that potentially.
Right.
And but I think it takes some thinking and practice. And so it's the incremental approach, but I guess with that in mind, we're not necessarily operating on that on the same time frame, but it's in the spirit of that kind of purpose. Do you think that that's something we should, are you bringing that up because it's maybe a place to start, or it's context for how we think about our job as a body?
Sure. I think these are two separate things. Certainly, if you have defined guidelines, and depending on if they're area specific or district specific, they would differ, but that they could apply to that as well, to any kind of major development review.
Under that
Guidelines,
purpose statement.
No, not.
The
that would be a-
guidelines could apply.
The
to
design
major development.
guidelines could apply, but I see, like I say, whether something is a site plan review or it's a special permit or it's an MDR, it's based on criteria that, and I think those criteria were distorted for other reasons, political reasons at the time, which was very transparent. And I credit the people saying, we didn't do any research about this. We just changed them and we came up with an agreement. Okay,
Yeah.
It just seems like as a planning board, we have somewhat of an obligation to, when the dust has settled, and it's been 6 years, to try to, look at, is there some way? And I'm not just saying turn the clock back exactly how they were at the time, but there was one suggested compromise. It had been 1,000, it was raised to 3,000. There's some rational argument to be made for 2,000 car trips. So I think that's a way. I don't think we want to do it piece by piece because each one has to go through. I think we should do it as a whole if we're choosing to make recommendations. To me, it's a significant priority because we want to do our job of looking out for the community, for those interests that are stated in the purpose. And the more these things come under that. And it was also emphasized by Eric over and over again. Every single MDR that had come for years before the board, none were denied.
Right.
And he because people were concerned this is blocking development and stuff like this, but none were denied. It's obviously a more substantial and onerous process for a developer, but you want to balance it out with the potential benefit to the community and improvement of the development. So I think it's a significant priority. I've been bringing it up for years now. But, and that's probably from my historic perspective of having been involved when this happened. So
I feel like if we're going to touch that, we need to fix it more. Then, I mean, that might be part of it. A compromise about the thresholds, but there's the exercise of a design guidelines, maybe the first pass can help us, I think, broaden the conversation about what types of things are important to regulate and what types of things might constitute triggers that might or might not include the size of the building.
And then that might be able to be applied to that discussion more fully.
Yeah, then we'll have so more information. So knowing the context, remembering the history of that helps us see what we should, I think there are ways to build on that. I mean, if we change that criteria from one thing to the other, does the rest of the MDR ordinance cover things that we think are important or not? We know that site plan review misses lots of things that are very important. So the design guidelines are trying to remedy that. all the important urban design concerns that we have for downtown are not really in there. So then maybe that'll, as we go through that exercise, we'll see there's some ways we can plug into that too.
Well, yeah,
Well, if we do enhance or make changes to the site plan approval guidelines, that would be applied to how the major development review is evaluated.
Is this like the same and then some other stuff?
Right.
Yeah, so you're saying that a design guidelines process would kind of be a blanket approach to all the different scales or,
It seems to me, is if you look at criteria for approval of a major development, this is on page 103 of the zoning ordinance. It says the following the following criteria shall be considered: the special permit criteria and the site plan approval guidelines.
so then maybe my
And
point,
then, yeah, other things too.
my point might be moot then in that case, if,
and there's also a separate,
Perhaps, I don't
oh,
know.
sorry.
Sorry.
There's also a separate document, which is the rules and regulations for impact statements for major development review. So that's, and I'm not sure if that's included in the, have that, but I'm not sure if that's included in as an addendum in appendix of it.
I feel like to me, the design guidelines process gives us an opportunity to establish what we think is important to control. And the triggers should be defined in the same terms as that.
Yeah, if you're gonna impact this, then we can see it.
To what degree are you gonna impact the things we think are important?
Exactly. I think it's like pretty simple.
So traffic could be one of those, but I just think there's gonna be other things that are a big development or a small development even in the right place. There are ways that can impact things that we care about, the community cares about, that where there's a lot at stake. And we'll figure all that out through this process.
And how do you find a big development? It's by certain thresholds. And so I'm advocating for somewhat of two parallel processes, the design guidelines, but I'm not clear how, because I've heard you say before, Jeff, that, well, the traffic isn't anything or something like that, but I think there's some objective validity to, you have something that's so big and is going to generate so much traffic, it has the potential to have impact that we should at least scrutinize.
Yeah, and
So-
I guess I'm not saying that traffic shouldn't be one of the criteria. I just think there's a lot of blind spots.
What we talked
Other
about.
things that should also be criteria. Like maybe you go to MDR even if you don't meet the traffic threshold. There's some other thing that
Right.
in certain contexts is just as important that isn't on the list. So there's something like, a town fair tire that doesn't have to build any, I'm not saying that they need to be an MDR or whatever, but there's, I guess I'm not trying to take away the rules that are in there. Just I think we
Yep.
add more criteria.
Sure, and I'd be interested in seeing some examples of that, because it's hard for me.
But one of them is it on Main Street or not?
Yeah, if I say frontage, like the one we just talked about, frontage on Main Street.
That was
That
in
should be
the,
something we should look at.
that was in some of the examples, like certain corridors. We've talked about that.
Okay,
Is it in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you might not have to do certain things. I don't know. I mean, I think
well,
we can't know what the rule needs to say yet because we haven't defined what we think is important.
and the thresholds, at least as far as the traffic, it's generating currently 3,000 visitors a day in the general commercial district or 1,500 in any other district. So it's not universal to.
Yeah, but other rules could be similar.
But even that may not be right, because if you have a street where you have 3 cars going down in a day, and someone puts in a building, and now the cars that go up are 40 cars a day, that's a significant impact to that street. And that's not anywhere near 1,000, but it's a significant impact. So maybe a percentage
It might not
of
be.
cars is impact.
I mean, it
But
could be a
it could-
street that can handle 10,000 cars.
But it could be, it could be a significant impact to that street.
Yeah.
So, and we'd like to know that, right? So.
But going now back to the process that Susan raised,
Sarah.
Sarah, sorry. Eric is not here. We're gonna eventually he's gonna be leaving. We got a new planner and all of that. So what the timing of all this and what kind of support? 'Cause I mean, I feel like some of these questions, it would be helpful to a planner so that we could talk about approaches.
Because he's got context like George does. He knows how these things work and.
Yeah, it's, so I don't want to necessarily just go in without any radar and fly the airplane at night,
Yeah. So I think we should put that on the agenda. What do we do without Eric? And you can tell us.
Well, I even
Yeah,
like to
for
get
next-
Eric,
for
honestly, I would
December,
like to
yeah.
get Eric's thoughts on this whole topic.
Yeah,
You could just, how would you approach this? And how have you seen it work? Because are there towns that have gone with very light things to start and that got them going and then they codified it more?
Mhm.
Or you advise not doing that because you then will run into your first problem. I have no power and can't do anything about it and it's a mess.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I'm sure people have gone through this and he knows that. So I feel like we should get his views on that. But going forward, I assume this person is gonna be doing a lot of this work or not, he's.
well, they'll have some
Just think
skills
about it.
presumably that,
We hope.
maybe it's someone who's, I haven't heard anything about the search, or I don't know if there's been candidates.
I don't know,
I
but the
didn't
last
apply.
time I talked to Eric, he said it had been posted.
Okay, well, that's good. It's
But
started.
it
That
strikes me
was
that's a
several weeks ago.
crucial, it's a crucial
Definitely,
position. But we should definitely tap Eric's knowledge.
Yeah.
Or,
I would suggest that even more generally, especially in light of the arbitrariness of the change to the traffic counts.
yes,
And size.
Yeah, there shouldn't be arbitrariness in things that we do if we can avoid it. I mean, we have judgment in certain cases, but so we didn't just make up how the tree rules should work. We asked the tree committee because their job is to know that. Like,
right.
so the more we can be referring to experts that are already designated, that as opposed to just making things up on our own. So we have 19 design review guideline document examples from Massachusetts. So if we pull things out of those, it's far more, seems a lot more justifiable than if we just make it up. So we might have made that up anyway, but to be able to cite where it actually happened is just a good practice to maintain credibility.
Is Eric still available to us? For
Yeah.
The next meeting?
He'll be here at the next meeting, so.
Could we just, maybe we should take this up again and get his,
Oh, for sure.
if we can kind of frame the questions we have a little better about, what kind of options we're thinking about. Should we tackle MDR or stay away from that for now and do this for, just get his thoughts on these questions.
I think of his 19 examples as like one of his going away presents. for us.
Was that he's done? He's done now.
No, but
Some of
I
them,
got through half of them.
yeah, I cherry picked a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think some of them do include inside of them kind of the process
Yeah.
about how they're implemented. So we can reference that kind of as a separate layer. So we have some basis for what are the options? What other people do? I mean, we can call these towns too.
I'll
Like you
take
said.
care, I'll do it.
But
If you tell me
even,
which one you want me, I'll take it down.
we can ask them how it is going too,
Absolutely. Let me know what you want me to do.
and I feel like the public would appreciate some of that consultation. So it isn't just us kind of making things up.
How,
A couple thoughts. So George, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the planning board voted on changing the major development review threshold back in 2024. I
Right,
think I remember taking a vote on that and it was not taken up by the council.
yeah, I can't remember what happened. You're right, that it was
So this is,
to go for the traffic, I think. To go to the 2000
yeah,
trips. Yeah, I can't remember what happened.
I don't remember.
Maybe
either.
Eric could help us remember, but I
Thought we tabled the whole thing. I don't remember us making.
I think we did have a vote though.
Voted.
We
Yeah.
recommended it,
We could.
but
we
I
could
can't remember
look
what
at that.
happened with it.
Yeah. And in addition, I think there were some charts that Eric prepared about major development review in other cities. Perhaps we could dig those up or ask him to, or
Sure. Yep.
and that could be part of the packet for the next meeting potentially. Just to advance the discussion.
I agree. Yeah.
And yeah, it seems to me like there's nothing wrong with maybe looking at changing the threshold. While also looking at in the longer term. But other kind of thresholds might be helpful. Of course, we would want to check in other cities to see whether they have specific major development review triggers to do with like a certain district or zone or
think that's what was included in what Eric shared with us.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
that would be good to
Yeah.
know
Some
what other
comparatives.
towns or what other cities
Yeah.
do. But I do think that if we went a route of having design guideline suggestions, I think that would be a fine way to go and look at in the long term for potentially having them be part of the site plan approval guidelines. Because that would be the widest, I think the widest application would be the site plan review
Yep.
guidelines, because when you have a special permit, you also look at those.
Or an MDR.
And when you
Right.
have an MDR, you also look at those.
That's
So,
a very good point. So they wouldn't have to be put into the MDR. They would just be in the site plan review.
yeah,
And they would, for every
Right.
scrutiny, they would
Yeah.
get covered.
Yes, that was, yes, I think that's a great point. Because then it's kind of a blanket. It's already written in there that look at that stuff, so
Yes.
fewer changes to the ordinance, which is a goal in itself.
We finished? While we're requesting stuff of Eric, the major development review rules and regs for impact statements. I don't think I've had that. I have it somewhere, right? Piles of stuff, but I don't think it's included here as an appendix or anything in the ordinance itself. This is a recent addition. Could you ask Eric if he could send that with all of us?
Yep.
That's a significant separate document. Keep him busy, there's lots. We'll send him off. Thank God I'm going.
Are we going to put the pre-committee recommendations on the agenda
Yes.
for the next meeting? Does that lead us to a site plan review discussion, or how does that have to get incorporated, or is it just?
It's a zoning change. To make the code say that that's one of the things we're supposed to look at.
So if we just maybe listen to the recommendations first, or have them present them, and then we can discuss whether we want to make them a zoning or not, because that's a whole nother road to go down.
And we can ask Eric his thoughts too. That's another, does he think, what is his recommendation?
Yeah, and anytime, and we don't make them part of it, we recommend, and it always has to go through that same.
Right.
Public, joint public hearing process and, recommendation must meet EDC and then decision by the council.
I believe our next meeting is a joint meeting with the EDT.
Oh, is it?
I think that's what Eric said. I forget why. At least at one point.
for it, I think the reason is, to update the. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
We have the ADU zoning thing?
Was it related to the kennel stuff too?
Oh, yeah. Was it the Animal Medical Center or something?
Yes,
Along those lines.
yes,
Because that was left
I was-
kind of on, all that was
yeah,
tabled.
Right.
About the eliminating the kennel thing because the other thing was approved. For
Yeah.
the
Get the development.
clinic idea was approved, but the elimination of the kennel didn't happen. And that was being worked on, so I don't know what the status of that is, but I'm guessing that might be.
But you also initiated the changes to ADU, and doesn't that require a public hearing?
That,
Did we do that yet?
I don't know, if we had the joint hearing with the, on the
Yes, we did.
changes? We did that?
I think so.
Oh, and I don't think we had the hearing.
That's what,
Oh, okay.
that's what I think
Okay.
is coming
Oh,
out.
maybe that's it. There might be both.
That's what I'm thinking,
Okay.
because I think the planning board discussed it and began the process.
Pushed it out, yeah.
And the next step would be a joint public hearing.
Yeah.
Again, just to get compliant with the latest guidance from the.
I mean, it's a very ministerial thing at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, Barry. It's a little different on the design review, particularly tying it to site plan. Site plan only happens if there's going to be a change in use or, et cetera. It doesn't apply to everybody. When communities implement design review, do they make it applicable to existing structures that aren't going through a site review process? Or is this something that only gets picked up over time when things change? Because there's a lot of, if you had design review for downtown Greenfield and for the way you wanted the facades to look, et cetera, there's gonna be a lot of folks who are not.
Big guidelines,
that.
get tap, anytime you pull a permit, you're gonna pull a permit to do something in the town. You're gonna
But
build
not-
something in
but-
the town.
But if you tied it to site plan review, it would
But I
not.
said, it's God, design, my opinion, design guidelines for anything that's gonna do any work in the town. If you're gonna put a shovel in the ground and you need a permit for it, you need to review our design guidelines, because you have to put a sidewalk, or maybe we want you to put a tree, or maybe we want you to paint it green, you know, but you need to know that when you start the work.
Yeah, I think generally, any legal requirements are not made retroactive. They're for going forward. So when someone's initiating a project, that's when they get implemented. You don't go back and say, hey, we changed this. You've had your, storefront looking like this for decades, but now you're gonna.
I don't think that's what Tom was saying. Tom was saying if it
Well,
doesn't have a site plan.
I'm asking about that. I'm asking about how do you apply it? And if you have design guidelines for your downtown, what do you do about the, 80% of the businesses that don't actually apply with those? They're out of, they don't for various reasons. I mean, let's say you have a structure, a business that has just the facade that's all dark. And we don't like that. Well, they've already gone through their site plan review. We've now said we can't have that, but that's already been done. Now, maybe you do that through, small business programs that help, store owners fix their facades. I don't know, to become, compliant with the new one. It's all voluntary, but I'm just raising the question about, there's a lot of stuff that is, that are eyesores that we'd like to do something about, but we might not be seeing them through a site plan review process.
Probably someone else's
Well, you can't,
purview there.
if someone wants to build a new door, you can't make them punch 10 windows into the
Right.
floor.
Exactly.
But you can make the door meet
Yeah,
what we
so exactly.
want.
So the thing that they're
And
doing
if you're changing.
needs to be to our standard.
Right.
And that's kind of like a non-conformity language. If you're not making it worse, like if you're not, you can do something on your property, even if you're non-conforming property, as long as you're not doing it on the part of the property that's non-conforming, or in a way, I think there would, there'd have to be some control, George.
I was gonna say, there is if a certain percentage of the structure is being remodeled or rehabbed, then it can fall under, it has to come under.
That's how building code works. Like, you have to put sprinklers in if you're
Right.
putting a certain amount of money into it, or a certain number of square feet. a certain
Exactly.
percent.
Exactly. So it can sometimes have to be brought up to current code, depending on what the extent of the rehab or restoration
But
is.
it can be a double-edged sword, because if it could compel someone to not do anything ever,
Right.
because, I can't make this building more functional because it required me to do
My
these.
grandfather.
Yeah, so you have to be careful of that, but I think at minimum, if you are replacing their windows and you need to get a permit, you need to replace them to our standards to the degree you can. That feels in bounds to me.
But you don't go back and say, we've changed the standard.
Right.
So now you
Fix
gotta.
everything else too.
Right. But that's pretty much standard, I think, as far as legal expectations. It's not retroactive. So.
That's, yeah. So I know we've been here a while. I don't know how long folks want to stay. The one question I had in terms of the process, not of how design guidelines work, but how we develop them, is we get together once a month. We have like half an hour to talk about this amongst the other things on our agenda. And it will take, you add up the half-hour increments, how many years to create something as elaborate as some of the examples we saw. How do we work on this in a way that complies with open meeting law? It isn't, like, what if we said, all right, we're gonna go home and next meeting, we have 5 completely different ideas, and how do we negotiate between those? Like, what's a process that might work for us?
Well, one thing I'll offer is that for most of my tenure on the planning board, we met twice a month. We met on the first and third Thursdays. I'm not suggesting we go back to that routinely, but we can always try to work out having an additional meeting. Or, I know we're all, being mindful of the length of our meetings, but sometimes our meetings have gone, longer than a couple hours. So we're prepared for that, I think, and we're, either an extra meeting or an extra long meeting, we can do it, in the context of our meeting schedule. So, but I think we do have to dedicate some extra time one way or the other.
Sure.
I'm so new to this, I don't really know what the standard is and what the role is, but Eric's role to me is the one I would focus on. Because I would have thought that he's our staff person. and that we're gonna talk about what we want, then we ask him to do a draft, and then we look at it, and that's how. Again, Victor, I'm just saying in a board with a staff person who's a professional, that's what I'm used to. I just don't know how this body operates, but Eric's staffing a lot of different groups. It doesn't, he might not absolutely have the time for that. So he's not really that, and his replacement wouldn't be that. I just don't really have a sense about it. Because I would have thought we'd be talking about how we're going to engage him or his replacement in helping us do this.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just not the way it works here, because they're so thin in their staffing, the Conservation Commission, the Board of Appeals. And he just doesn't have the time to really dig into something like this. I would bet he has the expertise.
And we have worked that way, and it's just a matter of, determining the caseload or, the workload rather of Eric has had, and it's hard to think of anyone else being there besides her, but we're gonna have to face it, and we don't know how long a delay will be until that is filled, and that's been posted. So, but I do think that ideally you would do what you're saying, Tom, and you would have us coming up with the rough guidelines and then it being kind of put into a professional shape by the staff, role of the planning director.
Maybe FERCog could help, or a consultant, they get a grant. I think we can set the direction in our meetings. And yeah, I think it's like who sits down and actually writes it or gets the pictures in there, that sort of thing is not what we can do. We're not gonna do that while we're sitting here.
I mean, to me, having someone like that would help us keep focused on it and.
Yeah. And give us something to react to. It does feel like we're kind of starting the conversation. Like, how do we memorialize? I have a lot of notes. Can I have these, like, are these my notes, or these the city's notes? Whose notes are these? How do we keep public, like a running document that isn't just piled into the agenda?
Can't we take one and just start taking it apart? We had sort of pretty honest. I like Dennisport, you like Springfield. Can we agree on one other than say, let's take a look at it?
Jeff's raising a question though about in our current process, if we just keep doing it the way we're doing and we try that, it's gonna take us months and months.
No, it
and
won't.
months.
I don't see that. Maybe I'm missing something, but if we have a document already in front of us, all we need to do is review that document, cross off, add in, cross off, add in, and then wordsmith it again, put it back together. I mean, I don't think we should try and invent the wheel. And that's what it sounds like we're trying to do here. We're going to try to invent the wheel. We've got wheels. We've got lots of wheels. Let's pick one we like and see if it fits. If it doesn't fit, we'll throw that one out and we'll pick another one or two. But I don't, in the past, someone wanted to do a consultant in the town. I got 2 copies of existing plans. I looked at them. I put them in our words, our form, that fit our town. And we didn't use a consultant. We didn't use anybody. The whole town agreed on what we got, but we didn't create it. It was already, someone else already created it. We just made it fit our town. I don't know why we can't look at it the same way and make it fit Greenfield. If it's got 99% of what we want.
So maybe part of our homework is to all look through all of these and come up with ones or portions of ones we think would be applicable
Maybe ask
or
Eric
good
as
to.
well, to say, which of these do you think are the most appropriate for us? Because, I mean, it's nice to have 18 plans, but Eric, which one of these is? You know?
Yeah.
Well, but it might not be just one. It might
I
be
know,
components. of
exactly.
different
I
ones.
know, I agree with you.
So, that'd be my suggestions. Everyone reads them and says, I really like this section. I really like this section. And I'll just pull them all together and stick them all in a paper and I'll spend all the time you guys want on this because I got the rest of my life. So, and yeah, I love it. I love wordsmithing and putting things together. So
Yeah.
I'll have a great time with that, but.
In response to what you're saying, Tom, I do think having Eric's informed and expert opinion is very helpful. But we also have to make our independent judgment as appointed board members to, so I think us going through, doing the homework of going through and picking out, Dennisport or, Springfield, whatever, whatever ones or components of ones seem the most relevant and applicable for here. I think that can be a helpful way to trim things down as far as being overloaded with,
And accelerate the process of making this concrete.
Yeah.
Because it's very specific and it might be that we have, it's like, I'm thinking of like a mood board almost, or it's almost a collage, but you'll understand what we're trying to accomplish much more clearly when you look at that collage. Not to say that the collage is now the regulating document.
No, but
It's a way to get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, what can we do outside of the meeting? Can we do that? Can we just all work on something? Like
Individually, yeah.
Individually, we can do that.
Sure.
Can we collaborate as far as I like this section, Vic, stick it in there or no?
not outside of the sunlight, and it's open meeting law, it's interesting, I've made this comparison before, but I'm on the board of the co-op. And that's a private entity, so we can talk all the time, whatever we want, emails and all that stuff. But it's very different if you're public, you're beholden to the public and.
Slows everything down, so we have to wait till the next meeting to share all the information at a meeting, so someone can go back and put it all in one document to look at it the next meeting. It's just crazy.
It's a exacting standard that takes, discipline and
I don't see
judgment.
that, I don't see that helps the public. Slows every process down.
Well,
There's things.
there's a lot each of us can do by reading through. I haven't gotten through all of them either, I confess. So reading through all those flagging parts, that we think we should, that'll narrow it down and we'll come to
So
some
what should we
consensus.
do for the
Maybe we
next
can-
meeting?
Maybe we can have an extra meeting. I can't do Thursday. This is the only Thursday I can give up. But,
Yeah.
I'd be perfectly willing to do a Wednesday and a Thursday, like the first and second, first Wednesday and first Thursday, or, something like that. I'll be glad to do that. It'll help move the process.
So the first step is to, I think, to define what the process is gonna be.
Yeah.
And, so one option is there's a working session, we could put these on the screen and just each kind of talk about, that would make it more concrete. I don't know if we then therefore have the final
No.
deliverable of it, because there's a number of things that need to be pulled from these so we can understand how to think about this. There's the specific rules and how they're illustrated. There's just the structure of the document. Is it neighborhood specific? Is it citywide? Is it just downtown? How is the planning board empowered or not to require compliance? I think we should be reading all these through all those lenses. And maybe we come next time with, we can talk about each of those topics separately. What do we think makes sense? And then maybe there's a bit of an outline that comes together.
Do you want to send something to us all? Because I think you could do that. You could send to us like 5 criteria to read, or 5 issues that we need to sort out. Does it have to be citywide or neighborhood or, and then let's read these plans and come back.
Good idea.
So it's like a worksheet.
And we come back having looked at all of them from that vantage point.
Very good.
Yeah, so then we can each have our own perspective, but it's falling in the same rubric and we can put it together.
Nice.
Good
And
idea.
that's being decided in the open meeting.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you just share the framework and then we're doing our individual work on it. Sharing it.
That makes sense to you.
Open meeting. And I agree that it is hard with schedules to come up with an additional date. Why don't we plan for a 3-hour meeting next time? We'll go at least to 9. Is that doable for people? Just
I think I'd like to make it productive though, so.
No,
I mean, we
no,
don't.
not productive.
No, I just looking at each other. What I mean by that is I think a conversation with Eric to figure out how to structure this conversation so that we can use 3 hours really effectively together or to work through it.
Well, I think we have a plan
Yeah.
here. I trust me, I've worked with Eric for over a decade. I conveyed to him today how much I've appreciated, how much he will be missed, though I'm so happy for him. It sounds like he has great plans.
Yeah.
So do want to take advantage of our last opportunity to check in with him, but also we've got a good plan here, especially the idea of having this kind of framework to, put our notes into and stuff
How
like
many
that.
more meetings do we have with him?
One, just
Okay.
he's
The
leaving
last-
mid-December, right?
December.
All right, let's do a 3-hour meeting.
Poor Eric.
He wants to know we left it. Okay.
But he has to come.
Yeah.
Do it around his schedule.
That's a good idea.
Cool. Okay, great. So that-
So
Okay.
can you go over the next meeting agenda items that we
I
have?
can. We'll agree on that. So next agenda, are you writing this down too?
I'm trying to be the clerk.
Okay. Strike it off.
Thank you very much. Victor, for doing this.
Victor, it's amazing.
All right, in no particular order, review the tree committee list. As an agenda item, we've got it, but we'll talk about it. And how we can make use of it. Like,
Or are we gonna have them come or are we just gonna talk about it? Amongst yourselves?
I think it's pretty clear.
we could extend an invitation if they want to. I don't think we need, I can,
I don't think that'll improve our efficiency.
okay.
Yeah.
If we have the written.
This is a proxy for them.
Yeah, no, they've done their work.
It's very clear,
They've
yeah.
done their work.
They'll just say, hey, look at this.
Because all we'll do is get a presentation and that'll be the end of our conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so review tree committee list. Eric had sent me something about there's a board that wants a designee from our group. It's a FERCog committee that we need to decide, we need to make a designation about it. I didn't think we could do it because that came like yesterday. We couldn't get it on the agenda. So we can talk about designated someone.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd be interested in hearing what that is.
I might be able to find it really.
Yeah, I would be interested in hearing what that is as well.
I mean, for next time, it's fine.
Yeah, so Eric, what
Yeah.
that is referring to. And then we're gonna, so by then we'll have an SGIC implementation plan or sketch of one, and we'll discuss how to go to council and the mayor with regard to that plan implementation, yeah. And then, but
I would suggest focusing on the design guidelines, since we have a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And holding off on further MDR discussion next time. That's gonna spread us too thin.
okay,
With that.
I agree with that. We take advantage of Eric's knowledge on design.
yeah, so.
Well, just also, it does just spread ourselves too thin, the two big topics. And the design guidelines will filter into the MDR by being part of, potentially part of.
Down the road, yeah.
We
Part
still
of
want,
the site
do
plan review.
we still want to ask Eric to send the MDR?
I think so, because he's still, while he's still
Yeah,
around.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we won't talk about it, but we just want that for future reference.
So the stuff that he had shared about the other communities that is our reference, but also the rules and regs about the impact statements.
Yeah, basically evidence-based MDR threshold information.
But also that impact statement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the impact statement, yeah.
All right,
I'm surprised it's not part of the attachment or appendix to the
so.
ordinance.
That's last I have design guidelines discussion. That's the last thing I have on your agenda.
I mean, we could just duplicate those two again, just have those always be on there.
B and C.
Yeah, I mean,
Because we might want to ask Eric a bit, we could have the MDR on there.
Yeah.
And we might want to ask him in your parting, any parting thoughts on the
Yeah, sure.
MDR.
and
So-
I just think they're always interrelated. Design guidelines, site plan review, we're probably gonna be talking about both of those together.
Mhm.
We want to have permission to do that.
In terms of discussion item 4A, would there be any updates we would want to discuss about next steps for the chapters? Like, would SGIC have any updates?
Yeah, we just talked about that.
Just
Oh,
talked
I'm
about
that,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna do, look, we'll have the SGI plan, implementation plan for dissemination plan, and then we're gonna plan on how we're gonna present it to the mayor and the council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry. So I do that sometimes too. What about this? Oh, yeah, you already said it.
And,
Did you say, like, what are we gonna do without Eric?
yeah, so I have that note, discussion plan,
Yeah,
Is that an item?
is that a discussion item, like Eric's musings on?
I think it would also be good if you could, as chair, get in touch with the mayor's office and find out where things stand. I mean,
Okay.
It sounds like we know it was posted, but if they have any bites or, because that's so vital to this board's functioning. So, are there any legal remedies to keep him in place until he gets replaced?
I asked around a little bit, to my network, just to say, hey, we need great candidates.
Good, good.
I posted it on LinkedIn, but I don't know, probably 2 planners on LinkedIn, so. Yeah,
And I will, okay,
So I got 6 items for the agenda next week.
And there'll probably be, it sounds like there'll be a joint public hearing too, at least.
That's right.
Probably not gonna do anything.
So,
it's our meeting, they're coming to our meeting. Do you ever? I mean, if we're sitting in a room with them and we're talking about, is it premature to ask for the EDC's opinion on some of these design review
Yes,
questions?
yeah, that's not gonna improve our, I think so.
At some point, we'll need to talk to them, once we get to like, how do we, what are the mechanics for how we implement it, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, because we're not even sure if we're recommending
Change to that.
change the ordinance.
Yeah,
So,
Sure,
yeah.
good point, okay.
And they probably won't hang around because they're just here for the hearing.
Yeah.
Well, can we put
It's our meeting.
the hearing at the end of?
Oh, man.
Don't tell them to. All right. The next meeting date is Thursday, December 4th at 6 PM, or is it 6:30?
No, it's our,
It's
it's,
because it's our time.
it's our time. Yeah, it's our meeting.
So they're at 6:30, that's where it's.
That's why we have to go to their meeting at 6:30, yeah.
Right, they intended.
They do
they have
6:30.
those. These meetings used to start at 7. Again, for most of my tenure, they were twice a month, starting at 7 o'clock. So, yeah.
Stay up that late.
6 is better.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. I think we
I
all.
don't have committee reports on here anymore. You've been hearing what came out of the preservation committee?
Yeah, we should put that back on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Eric made a comment that we can't have updates unless whatever the update is specified in the agenda,
Yeah,
which is very,
Can we say what committee it is? We can't just,
yeah, exactly. Well,
So you can't say update from preservation committee, you gotta say
No.
update with A, B, and C in it?
that's what he said in his email.
So then you just can't do updates. I mean, it's like, so,
I think
it's so silly.
try it again, Victor. Specify the committee. I would hope that that's good enough.
Yeah, updates regarding whatever.
With the liaison, it's like, it's like our meeting, because I was there, so I should be able to tell my
Yeah.
own committee members what happened at the
I'm
meeting.
sorry, that's illegal. Yes, sir.
Maybe if we make it more specific, like updates on the community preservation committees
I'll word it some kind of way. or something.
process.
No, I thought it was very
Something.
interesting. to be honest with you. Okay.
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you for serving on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this too.
Yeah, sure. I live to serve.
I'm thinking of Al Pacino, I think it was Godfather 3. I thought I was out and they pulled me back in.
Okay, next thing I have is adjourn.
What do you think, what drew this guy, the major development review? Or,
What is it?
I was just wondering what drew.
Oh, he comes, he often comes.
He comes almost every
Yeah,
meeting.
he does.
Yeah. You'd have
But
to ask
normally
him.
there's a issue that.
No, he
You'll
doesn't.
see it in the
Yeah.
paper in 2
Yeah.
days.
It could have
Yeah.
been the Main
Yeah.
Street.
Could have been that one, yeah.
You never know.
It could have been
Yeah,
the
they would
discussion.
often-
I don't know.
His predecessor came to virtually every meeting. I loved
Yeah.
it, just to have it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah,
You'll see on Saturdays.
Yeah, I know,
Page
couple days.
A1.
what it was.
You'll be quoted.
Well,
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
None.
All in favor?
I
Is there ever discussion on whether or not to adjourn?
I have abstained when I felt particularly feisty, but.
No, I've heard some people say you don't have to have a second for a motion to adjourn, but,
Oh.
but I don't know if that's true. I don't,
I
No, I
I
can't do
don't
that.
know
All the
that.
rules, I don't know.
I don't
Okay, we
know
No,
that.
because what
Stop
people didn't,
recording.
Didn't want to adjourn.
well, yeah, I mean, one person might, not be happy with what was going on and they say, I moved to adjourn.
Oh, I